to find where we are. So, if you're watching this on the VODs, we're back, and we are on Battle for Zendikar. I did mean to create a break after Avacyn, so it's probably a little bit messy if you're not watching it live, but it's okay. It's a little bit messy watching it live, too. Just got to watch me do all of my things to help me find this later on. But anyway, we're back. We're building more Bilbo. If you started on number 2 because it's the most recent, we're focusing on this version of Bilbo who cares about life gain, because I've wanted to do a life gain synergy commander for a while now. So, mostly to focus on not dying and very slowly grind everybody else to death, just by outlasting them more so than actively trying to kill them. So that is our goal here, and we'll see if we can find enough things to make that goal work. Because normally, focusing on not dying as opposed to winning the game is not the best strategy. Like, most people will tell you, if you can kill your opponent or you can protect yourself, you should be trying to kill your opponent, because that's what actually wins you the game. If you fail to protect yourself, you lose the game anyway. And if you fail to protect yourself, you lose the game, and you weren't going to win the game because you were too focused on that. And if you fail to kill your opponent, then you weren't winning that game anyway. So, but I do want to try and build a deck that runs contrary to that mentality and is very focused on winning the game through outlasting the opponent. Like, Bilbo's 111 years old on that card. He has outlived most of his enemies, and that is my goal as well, is to just outlive the other players until they either die from getting decked by exiling all of their relevant cards and then eventually getting around to finishing the game, or because they give up out of frustration because they are never going to kill me. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I had a really nasty hacking and coughing fit at the beginning of the previous VOD, so. Alright, while Bane does exile, the opponents get to choose what they exile, and it's probably only going to get like 2 or 3 permanents before they wind up killing the Bane, so. From like. I'm sorry, it'll probably only get like 2 to 4 permanents because it's going to get a second trigger, and then it's going to die in combat to whoever I'm attacking. Or they're going to kill it with an effect because they can't afford to keep losing permanents like that if they don't have good blocks on it. Yeah, I guess we will consider Canopy Vista. I had this discussion before when we got to the cycling dual land, because we're not going to have access to as many black-green dual lands with the land types as we do white and green, but I think the deck is going to be primarily white and green anyway, so I'm going to need a few more white-green duels than I will black-green or black-white duels, so the fact that there are more white-green duels than black-green or black-white is just going to be a factor anyway. Like, it just allows for that to happen. I don't think we're going to need any of these Scion makers where we get extra creatures, despite the fact that I'm assuming we're going to have a large number of like Soul Sister style cards where we gain life when our creatures come into play. Excuse me. Flying First Strike gets extra counters on my creatures. Not really what I'm doing. Don't need the minor life drain from Drana's Emissary. Yeah, I think if I want like the minor life drain cards, it's probably more likely going to be on enchantments or artifacts or something, so that way I'm just gaining life incrementally. I will consider the Felidar Sovereign when we get to regular Zendikar, because that's where it's originally from, and um, Tests of Endurance, which I believe is from Judgment. But I might not want to run those just because that's not what the deck is actually trying to do. There is some benefit in running them in that it distracts opponents from what I'm actually doing, but there's also a high probability that if it distracts them but it doesn't actually let them get around either the massive amount of life I'm gaining or killing the Felidar Sovereign quickly, then we just randomly win the game through that, and that is not what my plan was, and that is way less fun. So um we do have the Gideon that won't let me lose the game while I have a Gideon in play, but I don't know which Gideons I actually want to run at that point. Like, this one is not really doing anything for the strategy that I have, so I'm probably gonna pass on that one. Gideon Jorah, like, yes, he helps by forcing my opponents to attack him, but he also forces my opponents to attack him, and I'm going to have multiple opponents, so that might not work out either. So I don't know which Gideons I'm actually going to be running. So that one might not even wind up making it into the deck by the end of it. Don't need any of these so far. We're probably going to ramp through green measures, so putting extra lands into play. Also, we potentially have cards that gain me life based on lands, and I think that's something that I'm interested in. We did not go with the Druid class from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms because I think that's a little too low impact, but now I'm considering something like Jotty Offshoot, which just gains me one life when my lands come into play anyway, so maybe that's not correct. I'll consider it, but I'm probably, at the end of the day, I'm probably not running this one. I'm probably going to run almost definitely Courser of Kruphix. I don't know if I'm going to bother with the Offshoot or the Nectar Pot or the Glade Heart. Maybe the Glade Heart because it gains me 2 life per land, but it's a plant and it's an O3. Yeah, looking at how pathetic this thing is versus the Druid class, like, even if the other two effects don't happen or aren't good, just being a 2 mana enchantment versus a 1 mana O3 seems like way better for the enchantment at that point because it's less likely to randomly die and more likely to have to be focused on, and nobody's going to focus on a 2 mana enchantment that's primary focus is gaining me life. You know, like, who cares? Even if I am gaining obscene amounts of life, that feels like killing that one is trying to bail out the sinking ship with like teaspoons. You really need to focus on the actual problem at that point, not this random thing. Most of my creatures will not be allies, so that thing won't do anything. Although it is kind of sad that they won't be allies because we can do a lot of silly, silly life gain shenanigans with some of the older um, allies that trigger when allies come into play to gain me life based on my allies. Like, that is a massive amount of life all of a sudden. Don't need that. 3 basic lands into play, tap, shuffle, and gain 7. Probably not. Oblivion Sower, like most Eldrazi, is a cast trigger, so blinking him doesn't do anything. But yeah, I don't think we need his effect. Die. Play Outburst. Quarantine Field. Vines. Make a 1/1 or creatures I control gain +1/+1 until end of turn. Retreat to Hagra lets me drain life, and Retreat to Kazandu lets me gain 2 life per landfall trigger. Yeah, see, these both look better than Jotty Offshoot already. Hagra. Doing a black. The other one is Retreat to Kazandu. Yeah, and I don't even know if either of these are going to make it, but they have more potential. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Let's just get rid of the Jotty Offshoot. Like, even with what I'm trying to do, that seems way too weak in comparison. That is one of those technically meets the requirements, but yeah, what I'm actually planning on doing with the deck, it's not gonna make it. Well, we have better options than Scour at 7 mana, so that is the type of thing that I do want to be able to exile the things that I'm killing, not destroy them, ideally. Stone Headache, Swarm Surge, Swell of Strength, Sylvan Scrying. Any of these? Yeah, I'm not going to have a ton of colorless creatures. We are almost definitely running both Ulamogs. This one because he exiles and is a big top end creature, unless I decide to cut them because they're too expensive. The other one, because it shuffles the cards back in from my graveyard if it goes to the graveyard, so it gives me another way to get cards back. But yeah, we will consider both Ulamogs. But they should be the only, like, exceptionally high casting cost creatures and or colorless creatures that we're running. So don't need any of those. Zulaport Cutthroat for the same reason as the Blood Artist. Alright, so Battle for Zendikar, that brings up Battle Bond. There we go. Alright. Did Battle Bond have this where we can get the cards? I think it did. Beginning of each end step, if your team gain life this turn, create 2 1/1s, and she's a 6 mana 5/5 or 6 mana 4/4 flyer. That alone does not seem great, and Krov's ability to eat X creatures to gain X life is also not amazing. Don't think I care about Gorm and Virtus either. And the rest of them don't have their partners and aren't particularly impressive on top of that. So for the Blaring creatures, the Corruptors, Arena Rector, Controls another warrior, tap target creature. Brightling. A4 to support 2. No. Exile all non-land permanents. That might be a bit too extreme for this deck. For each player, choose friend or foe. Each friend puts a 1/1 counter on each creature they control. Each foe chooses one untapped creature they control and then taps the rest. Player gains 4 life. Choose target creature with a counter on it. When that creature dies this turn, return that card to owner's hand. eh. Archfiend. Scoundrels. Card and lose a life. No. Battlefield under your team's control. Target opponent loses life and you gain 1 life. Thrilling Encore seems like an interesting counter to Wrath effects as opposed to saving all of my creatures. Like, if my stuff's going to the graveyard anyway, now it all gets to come back into play and I get all of the triggers. So maybe. It's not going to work if I do go the Wheel of Sun and Moon route, though, so. A thrilling Encore? Okay. It's 4 and a black for an instant. Has to be. Otherwise, it's only good if I want to Wrath the board and get everything back. Which would still be really good, but not exactly where I'm going with this deck, so. I don't think we need Bramble Sovereign. Two. Glenn puts it on the battlefield tapped. Each foe sacrifices an artifact or enchantment. Wayfinder. Choose artifact, enchantment, instant sorcery, or planeswalker. Players can't cast spells of the chosen type. Promenade. Now we're into the old cards that got reprinted. Okay. Battle Bond. On to Betrayers of Kamigawa. No. No. Nope. It's 1/1. It has protection from colors of permanents you control. Final Judgment. Light. Guys. Shoji. Cast a Spear, Arcane Spell gains. Nope. Do I want a Spore Frog? Like, would I run Spore Frog itself? Eh, maybe. So this is Betrayers. Is it False Hope or False Hopes? False Hope. Fight for Spirit. It's a 1. Don't need Alliator. Kodama of the Center Tree. Clips, no. Yeah, not bothering with Life Gift. We already have a bunch of other landfall gain lives that are doing way better than this. So. Dome Dweller. Here Gallery. Gote. Nourishing Shoal. So. Whenever a creature attacks, you may gain 1 life. So that's any creature attacking anybody. And for each creature. Maybe? It's certainly in keeping with the themes of the deck. For white, it's a spirit. Third stats. 5/6. I don't need Nezumi or Orochi though. War Club. Had that much green. Exile's the enchantment, but that's about it, and it's 4 mana. Same will be true for the green one hits artifacts and the black one hits creatures. And also, they're all reprints from Urza's Destiny anyway, so. Yeah, don't. The other 2 shoals. Damage will be dealt to any target this turn? No. Ice Bridge, Grasp. Rashi's Verdict is taken. Biggest problem is the divinity counters don't work when that which was taken leaves play, so it can't protect itself. Yeah, you need something else defining what a divinity counter does on a permanent in order for the divinity counters to work. And unfortunately, thanks to the indestructible counter existing, half the cards that would even do that now don't work anymore because they just put indestructible counters on it. The bright side is that the indestructible counters do actually grant indestructible when their source goes away. Alright, so that was Betrayers. Next up is Warren of the Gods. No, not Betrayers again. Alright, I've misclicked twice now. There we go. Found it. Alright, prevent X damage, where X is your devotion to white. Deals that much damage to any target. My creatures have first strike. Everything else loses first strike. Eh. With hexproof and death touch. I don't think so. I don't think we need any of those three. Because yeah, I don't think we need champion. I would like Courser though. Born. Oh, they're born. There we go. Sir of green, enchantment centaur, a 2/4. Okay. Go to calling mark. Enchantment. Nope. Sorrow. Hope. Exile target tapped creature. No, we can do way better than that. Your turn. Scry 2. Target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. It gains indestructible. Your turn. Scry 2. Exile target creature and make a gold token. Target enchantment from your graveyard to your hand. Draw that many cards. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may search your library for a forest or plains and put it onto the battlefield. Tap, then shuffle. So she does let me get the dual lands and the tri lands from our deck. For casting creature spells. I don't know how much more I need to ramp once I'm at 5 mana and casting all these creatures. Maybe not. Yeah, I think if I'm going to ramp, I want like 2 and 3 mana spells to ramp with. Although we do have a bunch of different things that let me gain life for landfall already, so yes, just to Petra, God of the Harvest, God of Harvests. She is 3 green white. 6/7. So yeah, she's good for triggering the landfall effects, but that's about it. So we'll have to see how many we wind up running. We want to bother with her. He's so far. Stomper, plead guidance. Turn target enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Probably not. I'm less interested in attacking than normal to begin with, so I'm not going to be running like a bunch of ways to give this thing haste, so it probably just eats a removal spell if I have any decent enchantments in my graveyard and there's a removal spell to be had, so that's asking an awful lot from that creature to not die basically immediately. Alright, so that was Born of the Gods. Next one is Champions of Kamigawa. Where are we at now? An hour and 40 minutes? Okay. Reach Zubra? No. Foul. Blood Speaker. Bloodthirsty Ogre. Burgrafter. Foot. Hell's Glow. Cranial Extraction. Cruel Deceiver. Yoka Gardner. Dosen. Half Tails. Five damage each. Flying. No. Don't need any propaganda effects, so Ghostly Prison. Heartbeat for anything. Gain 2 life for each shrine I control. I'm trying to think. The other shrines can gain me life, like certain ones can, but I don't know that I actually would care enough to run something like Honden. Yeah, I don't think so. If I see some of the other ones gain us enough life that I want to consider them, we can come back for it, but I doubt very sincerely that we would want this. 100 Talon Kami, Amy Statue, Ame Spirits, Aid Idol, Journeyer's Kite, Respite. So far, no to all of these. Nope. Sphere, no. Nope. Cheeto, tap a spirit. Prevent the next one damage will be dealt to any target this turn. Prevent all the damage will be dealt to target legendary creature this turn. And it by 2 or more R's, flip it. Protection from spirits and from arcane. Proud. +2. Kodama's reach. Kusho. Kusho is a lot of life, but he does need to die, and we're not intentionally sacrificing our creature, so might just sit on the battlefield and then maybe get exiled. We wouldn't get anything out of him really, other than holding players off so they don't lose an extra 5 life. I don't gain 15. I don't need Maronar, don't need Sako. Masako. Huh, her name is Masako, isn't it? Okay. Natsu Tribe. Big fan of Team 4 Star, so noticing that she has the same name as the actress that plays Goku in like the original Japanese, and therefore the same name as the um, alias for their voice for Goku. I don't know why I never realized that her name was actually Masako before. like until right now. Destroy all other creatures. No. Any number of creatures from our hand onto the battlefield, and each opponent discards their hand. Like, all fine effects, but not anything I'm willing to pony up the 8 plus mana for, so. Um, we can add Grave Robber, because I do want to exile things from opponents' graveyards, but I have to believe that in this case, we're probably going to wind up running Scavenging Ooze and. Yeah, you know what? I'm not even going to bother because we're running Scavenging Ooze and. I'm blanking so hard on the name. The Leyline of. The only black Leyline. Leyline of the Void. Literally the only black one. They nailed it on the first try, and it was way easier to just keep reprinting it than to ever bother printing a different black Leyline. Oni Possession, no. Orb Weaver Kumo. But yeah, those should be our primary graveyard hate cards, so the Grave Robber has way less to work with. The only upside to Grave Robber would be if we could flip it and then bring back our little creatures every time they die, but at that point the Grave Robber's likely to die also. Then if a creature named 8.5 Tails is on the battlefield, you gain 1 life for each devotion counter on it, and remove a devotion counter from it to gain 1 life. I think so. Yeah, we should be able to do better than Rado Lantern to get our stuff back. To avoid decking out. Yeah, Reverse the Sand seems like the kind of card that absolutely ruins me. So, no. No to that one. Although it is another fun reason to not try and murder our opponents. Alright. It is me. We do need our Sensei's Divining Top. Or at least I do. Oops. Sashira the Anointed, no. Shell the Last Kappa, no. Oh, that's the one that won't let the opponents draw if they've been hit by a snake. Again, don't need any of the Zubara. Short Fang. Sanity, no. No. Time of Need. The Mask. Vassal's Duty. Or Yosei. Okay. Champions. No, you're just gonna be jerk about it now. Alright. So, Cold Snap. Yeah, looks like we're gonna get to the first couple core sets before I'm at the second hour mark. Turn that card to the battlefield under your. Nope. Bill Griffin. Saurion. Steel Heartnet. Creature would deal combat damage to you and or more one or more creatures you control. Prevent X damage where X is the number of age counters on cover of winter. But it's no cumulative upkeep. So our 3-color deck is not going to do well maintaining that. Even with like two snow or three snow dual lands, or if we want to count the one that doesn't count as the land types, and some number of snow basics. Still not happening. We don't need Darien. Deathmark, Disciple, Strike, Tap, can't block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. Harvest, no. Attack a creature, gain 2 life, no. Good old Herald of Leshrac. Yeah, still not the deck for him. Top 5 cards of target player's library face down. Put a card exile with Scepter into its owner's graveyard, counter target spell. So, if we could blink it every turn, it's a very slow mill win, and it does almost nothing other than that, so. Age counters on it to target attacking or blocking. Nope. I don't know how good Martyr of Sands is going to be since we're 3 color. I do know we're going to be favoring white, so maybe. It's Cold Snap. This is one of those creatures that when I was envisioning the deck, I was planning on running it because I knew I was going to be white. But since we are 3 color, that's going to dramatically inhibit what she's capable of. So, human cleric. Like, I don't expect to be running either of the other martyrs because we're not going to have enough things. Also, they're not very life gain focused, where she is. Don't need a Viper. Yeah, Phyrexian Etchings is way too color intense in our tertiary color. Not gonna have enough snow cards for scrying sheets. Filtering, absolutely not. Snowlands, Soul Spike. Vader, no. An opponent gains 1 life. Nope. Okay, so Cold Snap. Almost at the 2 hour mark. Oh, right, we're on the commanders, not the core sets first. Alright, let's do Commander 2013, which we cannot organize and have to go through manually. Active Authority. Enters the battlefield, you may exile target artifact or enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile target artifact or enchantment. If you do, its controller gains control of active authority. Yeah, probably not. Battlefield, exile target player's graveyard. Baleful Force. Like, it's fine in our deck, but Curse of Predation. Shallow Graves. Whenever a creature attacks enchanted player, its controller gains 1 life. Probably not. Alright, we might be interested in Darksteel Mutation. Just as a way to deal with commanders specifically that are problematic. Death Grasp, Decree of Pain. The Eye of Doom. Doom counter. You may return to your hand all creature cards put into your graveyard from the battlefield this turn. Yeah, no. Blade Heart we'll consider when we get to it. Guide, because Duskcaller. It's on this page. Prince, Mystic Barrier. Enters the battlefield, or at the beginning of your upkeep, choose left or right. Each player may attack only the nearest opponent in the last chosen direction. Planeswalker is controlled by that opponent. Mildly tempting, because it stops most of our opponents from even being able to attack us while it's in play. Like, only one of the 2 players to our sides, and whichever one is worse at attacking us. That might actually be worth considering. Alright, we'll add it to the list. Stick Barrier. It's 4 and a white for an enchantment, I believe it was. Yep. Reveals the top card of their library, then it gets counters. No. Night Soil. Price of Knowledge. Price of Knowledge deals damage to that player equal to the number of cards in that player's hand. Nope. Start, restore. Blocks exchange its power and the power of target creature it's blocking until end of combat. No. 5/5 with trample. Sprouting Vines. Layer Scope. Attempt with Discovery. Glory, no. Quality, no. Expectedly absent. Last page is thing new. Alright. Alright, I think we're gonna go one more. Right, so it's 1:30 here. So gonna do the same thing as last time. So we're gonna end the VOD here, but the stream is going to continue, but I do need to take a quick break, so I will see you when I get back.